Here in Nepal, being an artisan or working with your hands is not as widely respected or desired. We're sitting at a table and sitting on chairs that were made by hands. You know, those hands have stories to tell. And that's a story that I intend to sell.
Nick is a builder. He has been building things for the last 10 years.
I have. I've come from a family of generational builders. My grandfather was a builder. I have been on construction sites since I was 3 years old.
And one fine day when you're working in a restaurant, you found out that there is a massive earthquake hit in some country in Nepal. And then the next day you decided, okay, let's go to Nepal.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a little bit more in between, but yeah.
You're sending bricks to Australia?
Who the hell's this guy? Yeah. Yeah, mate, that's the same reaction I get every single time. So the bricks that we make in Nepal, let's send them from the Himalayas all the way to Sydney, Australia.
Your house built with the mud from the Himalayas.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Your walls are made from Mount Everest. And
so
we
which
can
is
sell
the strongest story? Handmade or handmade in Nepal?
Handmade in the Himalayas. The Himalayan, that word, it has so much value.
निक स्वागत छ हाम्रो पडकास्टमा
धेरै खुसी लाग्यो म निकै इब्राहिम हो I'm happy to be here.
मलाई एकदमै खतरा लाग्छ कि जब मैले कोही फरेनर भेट्छु जसलाई चाहिँ नेपाली आउँछ होइन
नेपाली आउँछ थोरै छ मेरो आउँछ बिस्तारै सिक्दैछु अनि यहाँले बुझ्नुहुन्छ मेरो दिमाग अलिकति
यति बोल्न कति लाग्यो 10 वर्ष
10 वर्ष भयो
10
वर्ष भयो 4 वर्ष बस्ने फुल टाइम हो साकुमा बस्ने अनि 4
वर्ष भन्नाले मतलब अप एन्ड डाउन त गर्यो
अनि अप एन्ड डाउन
सो तिमीले उ गरेको डिड यु क्याल्कुलेट द नम्बर अफ डेज यु केम इन नेपाल एन्ड देन यु
सही एउटा टाइम भइसक्यो आउने जाने
ओके नेक्स्ट आई एम सो एक्साइटेड फर दिस पडकास्ट टुडे किन भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ आई थिङ्क द फ्यु टेन्जिबल थिङ्स विल बी टकिङ अबाउट यो एपिसोडमा अनि समथिङ द्याट रियली एक्साइट्स मी यस्तो पडकास्टमा चाहिँ समथिङ द्याट रियली एक्साइट्स मी इज बिकज जब हामी वी टक अबाउट एउटा कुनै टेन्जिबल कुरा गर्छौँ नि जुन टेन्जिबल कुराले चाहिँ हाम्रो अडियन्सलाई फाइदा हुन्छ द्याट एक्साइट्स मी के रादर देन टकिङ अबाउट अ लट अफ जेनरल थिङ्स अनि आई थिङ्क आजको पडकास्ट चाहिँ त्यो हुनेवाला छ सो हाम्रो अडियन्सलाई होइन ब्रिफली यो टिजर दिनु यो एपिसोडको सो आजको हाम्रो कन्भर्सेसन सकिँदासम्म चाहिँ यो हाम्रो नेपाली दाजुभाइ बहिनीले चाहिँ के थाहा पाउनुहुन्छ होला त ब्रिफ
अलिकति बुझिन मलाई म थोरै ब्रिफ पर्छ होइन सो
नो व्हाट आइ एम आस्किङ इज by the time people listen to this podcast
what do I want them to
no what do you think they will get out of it?
I hope some inspiration to create the products that I'm willing to buy. I'm hoping that they can get some motivation as well to realize that anything here is doable in Nepal. You just need to be able to go out and find it, have a crack, really just put yourself out there and make stuff happen.
Let me reframe what he just said. So if you belong to a family with artisan in it, if you have indigenous talents of building things, something related to interior, something that can be used inside house, I think this could be an amazing podcast for you because we are literally telling that there is a market for it and he's willing to buy. Let's go deeper into it.
Yeah, I think so, and you know, on top of that, is just take pride in it as well. You know, I know that here in Nepal, being an artisan or working with your hands is not as widely respected or desired. But
it used to be respected, but now I mean, like,
you know, now it doesn't seem so as much. But it's a beautiful thing, you know, to be able. We're sitting at a table and sitting on chairs that were made by hands. You know, those hands have stories to tell, and that's a story that I intend to sell. So yeah.
Okay. So Nick is a builder. He has been building things for the last 10 years.
I have. Yep.
No.
More
than last 10 years.
More than last 10 years. So 2012, 2013. But I've come from a family of generational builders. My grandfather was a builder. I have been on construction sites since I was 3 years old. So I am well versed in construction, building. Yeah.
And one fine day when you're working in a restaurant, you found out that there is a massive earthquake hit in some country in Nepal.
I did.
Couple of friends, couple of people working in the same restaurants were from Nepali.
Correct.
You found them crying in the restaurant.
I did. Yep.
And then the next day you decided, okay, let's go to Nepal.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a little bit more in between, but yeah.
The guide us through.
So yeah, look, I was building buildings for millionaires back in Australia. We're doing huge, incredibly luxurious residences and all incredible finishes and the high-end details that you see in these homes. And I wasn't really happy. I wasn't super happy with my life, and I wasn't particularly motivated, I would say, to continue in the building industry.
Why? But then you're doing things that you always wanted to do.
Yeah, look, I love building, but it just wasn't fulfilling. I wasn't helping people. There was no purpose greater than making money, and to me, the making money part was not my primary focus. So yeah, look, when the earthquake happened, it was the night of on the 25th, I believe. I found some of the boys in the back of the washroom crying, the Nepalese boys. And I'd worked with them in this bar at nighttime for about a year. And I was so impressed with them. Everything that they were doing, they're working hard, doing university, sending money back to their families, and then just treating me like a angel. Like, they were just incredible people. And I don't know how to explain it properly, but like, when that earthquake happened, when I felt them, I instantly felt a desire to help out in any way I could. No idea what exactly I could do. But then, yeah, the next day we were inside the bar. We were all talking. Sadly found out that one of the guy's partners-to-be had been crushed in the earthquake. Most of the homes were destroyed. And we had a few beers that night, and I was like, look, I can go over and help. My boss, Michael, at the time, said that they would help fund some of the reconstruction efforts if I went and funded my own way to, get over there, get my tools over there and go help. And yeah, literally like the next day there were signs up in the bar saying like, taking Nick to Nepal. So,
Campaign.
Campaign. The campaign. Yeah. Get this guy over there and help rebuild. But yeah, so that was the initial part.
So then you started raising funds.
So then I started raising funds. Yeah.
What are the crazy things did you do to raise funds?
Okay, so
I know inside story.
He knows the goss. So during the day I was working as a builder, and at night times I was working at this bar, and the bar was widely known for its promiscuous activities. So I was like a male stripper, if you will. So at the time I was a bit more fit, looked a little better than I do now. And I stripped for Nepal. I got my clothes off. And
how much did you raise?
So off the first 3 nights, 3 sessions, 12 grand just for, so, and that was to be used for the construction, the actual materials costs of the.
And on the 4th day, you took a flight and came to Nepal?
No, so then months later. Okay. Yeah, so it took me a few months to raise that money. So we started raising money about May, I think just mid-May, a few weeks after everything that happened. From May to June, I was raising money, doing those shows. People were getting involved. I was posting on Facebook, Instagram, and they were getting around it, asking how they could help as well. And then in September, I actually flew over. So September 1, I flew over here, and I was shocked when I first got here.
Right.
Multiple reasons. So first one was the group that I was meant to be working with had disbanded and gone back to their full-time jobs.
Why?
Just, I suppose the world had moved on. They weren't getting any other funding. They needed to get back to servicing their own lives. And I totally, get that. At the time, I was a little frustrated. I'm like, shit, I'm coming to Nepal and it's everything's changed. But
they were already here. You came late.
I came late. So it's my fault, to be fair. And yeah, look, the one thing led to another. I was met by Guy Mill, lovely fella, who was still, he was responsible for organising my time here. He wanted to still help me get involved in some work, so he connected me with a guy called Hitman up in a village of Ghimire, and they needed some schools rebuilt. So my initial plan was 200 temporary shelters, rebuild those, and then move to the Netherlands 3 months later. And the amount of money that I'd raised was enough to just fund like the tin, the bamboo, and I'd just go through and do one by one by one. Very simple structures, quick and easy, in and out. Local labour was going to help me, and then we'd get the job done. From day dot, when I was met at the airport, everything changed. So the structures obviously were not to be built. Because the team had disbanded, then we'd moved on to that componentry of building the schools, which meant initially 3 months had now become 6 months. And I, as a Westerner, had never experienced Nepal ever. Now, Nepal, prior to the earthquake, I'm sure was absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. After the earthquake, chaos, absolute chaos. And coming from my country, never experienced anything like that before as well, was confronting, like very, very confronting. And I'm like, what have I done? What have I got myself into here?
But you already had an option to go back to fly back, right?
I did, yeah. And what happened was there was a bit of a personal backing and a personal story to it. You know, my grandfather, who also wanted to come over and help, he was quite sick. He died 4 days into me being in Nepal. And that created tunnel vision within me to just stay and get the job done. I just wanted to build this school. I wanted to do my bit. And then I would move on with my life and go from there to the next adventure. And that was the initial plan. 10 years later, here we are. It didn't really work out.
So how did it work out? How did you ended up starting a company that...
Yeah. So what happened, I was operating in like a charitable manner. So over here, rebuilding schools. I did 2 up in the village of Ghimire. We did a hospital or a health centre. We partnered with different people. And as I was building... I was posting on Instagram, Facebooks, and getting a bit of traction. Few people would come over and they wanted to volunteer. And at that point, I just thought like the natural response is, we'll just start a charity. That seems like the good thing to do. So that's what we did. So we started a charity. It was called From the Ground Up. A few of my mates back in Australia, Joe and Scott, jumped on board to help out. Really like create a charitable entity. We had people that were raising money for us in Australia that were sending money over to rebuild these schools and health centers. Ani, putzi ek barsa putzi. How to say it? Like the world moved on. I know you have 5-7 din after a natural disaster to raise all your money before the world moves on. Now, because of the scale of the catastrophe here in Nepal, that we were able to, extend that for about a year. So after that, after that initial 6-month period of building that first school, I fell in love with the place. I became attached. I was the only foreigner in this village, for a matter of weeks before another, Jade, Steffi, all these people joined me over in this village by myself, like really learning how to, become part of the people. And I fell in love with the place. The people were amazing. The local villagers basically adopted all of us and made us part of their community. And it roped me in. Yeah. So once the funding started to run out for all of the charitable based stuff, I wasn't ready to let go of it. And also I wasn't ready to accept the status quo so that everyone would just go back to their normal lives. Some of the locals that we'd become friends with would have to fly overseas and get a job over in Qatar or Dubai to sustain an income. It pained me. It pained me to hear that dads or mothers miss the births of their children and spend years over in these countries earning what's still pretty little paisa. Ani 30,000, 40,000 बनाउने एक महिनाको के गर्ने ठुलो फ्यामिली छ के गर्ने हैन. It just there was a better way. And I remember I was on the bike and we have these construction skills. I was riding my bike. We were going in towards Kathmandu. Dumba, who you met, was on the back of my bike. And I was like, Dumpu, what are we going to do, mate? What are we going to do? And he's like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'll sell my land or I'll go back to Malaysia if I have to earn money, like to send the kids to school. And I'm like, mate, nah, we're not doing that. We'll start a company. We'll figure it out. Like, we've got construction skill sets. I'll figure out how to start a company here and we'll build. We'll build here privately. And we did that. Started manufacturing bricks. And I remember I invested basically everything that I had, got down to probably $800 in a bank account, and we got our first sale of bricks in 2017, January 2, 2017.
I think it was 3 years back the first time I met you on Fatiak. Drinking beers.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I meet this foreigner guy, and then he tells me he's exporting bricks to Australia, and I was like, what? You're sending bricks to Australia?
Who the hell's this guy? Yeah. Yeah, mate, that's the same reaction I get every single time. Yeah.
I'm like, how do you even think of this business model of building a bricks and sending it? And now you are telling me that you are sending fabricated fully fabricated houses made in Nepal.
Yeah.
Sending it to Australia.
So I suppose, like the short version of all of that is, so we started the company here. Company went really well. It grew very quickly. It grew too quickly. So I had to actually go back to Australia and start a company just to get funding to basically keep funding its growth.
Oh, you raised the capital over there.
Well, yeah, I basically, the way I was doing it was no bank in Australia is going to fund an international operation of that small scale. And, the credibility of me at the time was not high. So I started the company basically to make profit in Australia to fund the operations over here. We did that successfully for a couple of years.
How did your company in Australia started getting the funds?
Through construction. So I started a construction company there.
Oh.
We'd do private jobs. And then that profit I'd use to basically reinvest into the Nepal company to keep it going, to stimulate it. That worked pretty well up until COVID. And then COVID absolutely obliterated everything that we had for everyone, globally. That's the case for most people.
Why the demand for the product went down, or the people started constructing less?
Yeah, a bit of both. So from probably 2018 to 2019, demand for product of the bricks in particular went down. Construction services was still the same. We were doing, general construction work. But yeah, the brick sales definitely went down.
Why? And what's so special about the bricks? Was it cheaper to make it here, or the mud is unique that you can't really find it in Australia?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We don't have mud in Australia, mate. Yeah, no. I suppose it's the story. It's the story of what it is. We've got plenty of mud in Australia. We've got a big wide open desert that could go dig a hole and take that dirt and put a bit of water in it. It's fine. It's the story of the whole thing. So at that time, when we were deciding on how to keep the company alive here in Nepal, that's where we came up with the crazy idea of let's export the bricks. So the bricks that we make in Nepal, let's send them from the Himalayas all the way to Sydney, Australia. And just figure it out. So
get your house built with the mud from the Himalayas.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Your walls are made from Mount Everest. And you know what? The crazy idea worked. So on...
what was the first like... How was the feeling when you did the first sales? I mean, like when you got the first deal?
Man, I can't even describe it. I cried. I was in the container. So it's actually April 2023, the first container landed.
You remember?
It took me, yeah. It took me 3 years. It took me 3 years to line this whole thing up.
Okay.
So back in 2020, when COVID first hit, we made that decision. We're going to export. We're going to figure this out. The money that we had in country, we used to just sustain wages of the staff, half wages for that duration of COVID. No operations happening. It was just basically our bank account going down to zero. 2022, when the world started coming back out, or 2021, but into 2022, world started coming out of the whole COVID situation. And that's when I started flying back in and really heavily negotiating how we were going to get this container and rebuild and then get it to Australia. A lot of negotiation with a lot of different people, a lot of consultation, a lot of back and forth, to and fro's. And then at the end, I flew over for one trip and I was like, you know what? Stuff it. We're not fully there yet with all of the information, but we're going to send it. And in February 23, I called up the shipping supplier. I was like, let's get the container here. I've got 2 days to load this thing up. We're sending it. We're just going for it. And we did. And when it landed in Australia, it's the first Australian export of bricks ever. Within 20 minutes of registering the container, I had a notification saying I was officially being investigated because who the hell sends bricks from Nepal to Australia? And it's like, it's this guy. So yeah, and then when it landed, it was seamless. It was smooth. It just came in.
Did you do the math beforehand? I mean, I think the logistic is probably one of the most challenging thing, right?
So challenging. Yeah.
Do you do it through the flight or do you do it through the...
No, container.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a lot of weight. So it's 23,000. We sent 21,580 kilograms, sorry.
And how many houses did you build in Australia?
Only one with that. So it's very, very expensive. Very expensive.
You most probably build it for $1 million maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So the job we've actually used it on now is in a suburb called Bondi, which is a very prominent suburb in Australia, very affluent area. And it's currently, there's a Himalayan house in North Bondi. Yeah, it's crazy. From the base of Everest to the beaches of Australia.
A lot of a lot of our conversation lately that now that you have decided to come into a podcast, because I was inviting to your podcast from quite a while, right?
Yeah.
And then something you have been talking on and on is about the story. Dude, the story of Nepal. Dude, the story of Nepal. What people are not getting is the story of Nepal. But then, what's the story, man?
What's the story? I think the story is that, so one thing that I noticed when we're in these, I operate in the luxury construction space in Australia. One thing I noticed is that people want that. They crave that connection to the product. It's easy to mass produce anything through China and India, and we could do these elements and these items that you can see here inside China for a fraction of the cost that you could make it here in Nepal. But it doesn't have a story to it. In a world where we're so connected, through phones and social media, there's never been more disconnection. And when you can connect with something on a human level now, you become attached to it and you're more inclined to buy and purchase product. So we were noticing that that's what was happening inside our builds. And when we started noticing that, I was also looking for ways to keep, iterating and finding ways to keep the company going inside Nepal. And that's when we came up with the interiors component, where we manufacture all sorts of handles, tapwares, lights, now tiles, where I just need the story. I need that to continue on, and that is handmade in Nepal, by Nepal, for Nepal. And
so
we
which
can
is
sell
the strongest story, handmade or handmade in Nepal?
Handmade in the Himalayas.
Okay.
So the Himalayan, that word, it has so much value. The branding of the Himalayas is incredible. Himalayan rock salt, it's not even made in the Himalayas. I know. It's like Sri Lanka or something. That's where it's made. But it sells. Like in Australia, it sells so heavily. We have this perception as foreigners that, that Nepal is this majestic, magical place. And it is. It really, truly is. There's some stuff in between that, clouds the mind and the vision, like physically and mentally, but it's actually such an incredible place, and it has the basis. I firmly believe it has the basis to be one of the best countries in the world. And what other country has that much hydropower energy that could basically fund and be like a battery for everything? The natural landscapes, that's everything that's here. It is the foundation for a luxury based business. I know, but everyone at the moment is sort of thinking of it as like a low socioeconomic thing. Flip it on its head. Don't try and be in between or in the middle of competing with China or India. Take it to the luxury component, because that's what it is. Like if you look at it, the majestic component of it, it is that brand.
You तिमीलाई realize भएको छ कहिले हो when you were doing the bricks? Like when did you realize this? The majestic brand of Nepal is actually working in Australia. People are actually buying the story from the Himalayas. Like this to kune particular moments where you realize, oh my God, did I just hit the jackpot?
Yeah. Probably a moment for me was when, we started with doing some steel balustrades. It's like a railing. So we would prefabricate that in Nepal. We would fly that to Australia and then install it in Australia. And a moment for me that I realized that there's actually a really good market here. Like at that time, we were just doing it to keep our team employed. It was just a way of keeping the story going. And at this moment where we were in a project in the Northern Beaches was where the client said to me, he's just like, you mean to tell me that I've got the Himalayas on my deck? And I was like, yeah, mate, you do. He's like, whoa, I'm the first guy in Australia to have the Himalayas here. And I'm thinking, we might actually have something here. This is a story that actually people want to be involved with and connect with. And the products are exceptional. I'm not even like joking when I say this, but the quality of some of the product that we've been able to make out of Nepal actually exceeds some of the qualities that we get in Australia.
And where do you get stuff in Australia? Mostly from Europe?
It's from Germany, Italy, China, India, those kind of places. We do manufacture a little bit in Australia, not a great deal for the stuff that we use, but yeah.
And how did this new thing came into existence? I mean, like Now this is a new company like Himalayan Artisan.
So now we've started Himalayan Artisan. Yeah.
This new company that does everything and anything when it comes to interiors.
Correct. Yeah.
Not just brick anymore.
Not just bricks. So the bricks is where we started, and now we make handles, tiles, tapware.
What happened? I mean, like, why didn't you just scale on brick?
Well, so the bricks were never really a economically viable product to send. Like, you can't send, so like with containers in a country like Nepal, you need to have high value goods in a container. It costs a lot of money to ship, so it needs to be high value goods in a container. Now, bricks are not a high value good. What it did for us at the time was it helped us sell our construction service inside Australia. So it was purely like a sales tactic just to get the construction job across the line. You know, there's a lot of good builders inside Australia. There's not a lot of good builders that manufacture in Nepal and then export from Nepal to Australia to install the product. And that's what was separating us. So we ran it as a marketing exercise. What changed, I suppose, was that whilst the company was growing and scaling towards bigger heights in Australia, was that I still wanted my connection to Nepal. And my time was becoming less and less frequent over here because of the actual capacity, I suppose. My capacity had been taken by the Australian company. So what changed was I decided to basically put this all on the line, step away from the construction company inside Australia on good terms, and focus purely all my time inside this space, because I firmly believe that we can make absolutely everything here in Nepal at that luxury standard, sell it to Australia and pump dollars into this country, create jobs. I never want to, I hate hearing that people miss the birth of their children because they can't get a job here. You know, I've been through many, many villages of Nepal and you don't see any youth. And I was like, why is that? Because they're all over in Dubai or Qatar earning, you know, not too much money.
Couple of $100.
Exactly. And in terrible working conditions. Like, I'm sure there's so many stories that we could share about all the stuff that they do. It's borderline inhumane for a lot of it. And there's no need to, you know. I can buy these kinds of products. We can make them here in Nepal. I can sell them in Australia, create incredible jobs inside Nepal. And the platform's there now. The platform is being made. I just need people to step up on the stage.
It's so interesting that for us to see our worth, to realize our story, we need somebody from outside. Not trying to say that you are from outside. You're equally a Nepali as I am. But why do you think it's difficult for us people to actually see our worth, to understand our story, to see our value? Or is it just because you are so perfectly placed on a right country? Because if you were Nepali, maybe you would not have seen this opportunity, right? Is it the privilege that you have being born in Australia, seeing that particular market, coming to here, understanding what Nepal has to offer, and then being able to connect?
Yep, 100%. So there's two responses to that is I won the genetic lottery. By being born in Australia, I won the genetic lottery. We've got a stable foundation, everything's stable. It's easy to do. My other side of that is out of sight, out of mind. So if you haven't seen something, how are you to know? So with these kinds of products and these componentries that we can make here, if you haven't seen it, how are they ever going to make it? They don't know. Now, I didn't come up with these sorts of things. I've iterated. I've iterated stuff that I've seen before. And that's because there's constant exposure to that sort of thing. So it's not like I've come in here with the great big idea that's going to, you know, save the country. It's not that. It's just I've iterated off a certain section that I've been lucky enough to be exposed to. So for someone here in Nepal, it is hard because that doesn't exist here yet. So it takes time. It takes time to get to that level. And after years and years of doing this kind of work, you know, I've been able to refine the building skills, the technical skills, the design skills to be able to know what is required and what works, and then transfer that into the creation of these sorts of products. And then it's just up to me to be crazy enough, which I am, to go and invest in these remote villages to sell the story, because that is the story. I need people inside the villages, the artisans, to be able to make these products, because that is the story.
So as of now, if somebody who is watching this podcast reaches out to you that, Nick, my family has been producing this for a while,
I want to know.
Can you buy it?
100%. Yep. So Himalayan Artisan will be an online marketplace. We launch fully in October, November of this year. We are currently sourcing from about 8 different suppliers within Nepal for handles, tapware, lighting, tiles, stone basins. But it is a very difficult job. And I would love people to reach out and say, hey, Nick, I'm in a village up in Gorkha. My dad's been making this. Can you sell this? And if it's
what is the thing? I mean, it could be anything that can be used inside house.
Inside a home. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
anything.
And I need to. So what I need to do is I need to merge like ancient tradition with modern luxuries. I know. So I need to see these things being made in their ancient way or the traditional ways, so I can sell that as the modern luxury. Like it's using a skill set of this traditional methodology with a bit of that modern touch in the design that will sell, and I can go through and basically sell all those products in Australia. And hopefully worldwide one day.
So the artisan here don't really have to worry about anything. They just need to build things and you'll buy.
Correct.
And it's not even like you'll buy when there's an order is placed. You'll just buy it.
I will buy. There will be need that there does need to be set standards. So I will go through and give that sort of information and help. I'll help people get to that point. So, things like, to say with these handles, like just getting the welds and things a bit more consistent around the actual joints. It's all small stuff, but I'll help people get to that point. I want to get everyone to that next step where they're able to earn good money here inside the country from me buying these things and selling them.
So have you already sipped any of these phases?
Yeah. We've got our first, we've done multiple, about 3 small ones at the moment. We've got our first big one on Sunday. So in the Kathmandu airport, I'm probably known as the crazy Australian guy that keeps sending tons worth of
now these are being sent through flights, not...
Yeah, so anything that's like lightweight and high value, we send by air because it's quicker. So, and at the moment, because of the scale, we're a startup here, we don't have big volumes of handles. I've just ordered a few hundred pieces of those particular units that we're sending to Australia next week. But you need like thousands. You need thousands for containers, which I hope to get to. That's the end goal.
Maybe most probably because I've seen so many these Chinese products, which are similar in nature when you first see it, and these are so picture perfect. Those are so picture perfect, and when I am looking at this, these are not really perfect. No. I mean, like there are a lot of blemishes. There are a lot of things. I mean, like as a Nepali, maybe I would choose the Chinese version, which is quite perfect, shiny.
Correct.
Right, compared to this. But then they're telling me that this is going to be of more value. Yeah, the imperfectness is going to be more value.
Yeah, so the imperfections actually sell better than the mass-produced now.
What a world we live in.
The world's just flipped on its head again. We strive for perfection, but now we want it back. No, so I think for this one we've got a set of clients in Clovelly that have purchased a lot of these goods. They specifically wanted the imperfections. They wanted to feel and understand that it's actually made by someone's hands. I know we know that humans are not perfect and we have imperfections. When everything is mass produced, perfect to the millimeter exact, it's made by machines. They can feel and connect with just the story alone by understanding like there is imperfections in the handle, there is imperfections in the products that we make. But that means that someone's actually made it. That means that someone's family's being supported. It's a sort of full circle sort of moment for them. We've got a lot of prominent people that we work for in Australia.
And do you have like different agencies in Australia that you sell through? I mean, like how does the sales happen?
No, at the moment. So we're doing all private sales through the construction entities.
The existing network you already had.
Correct. Yeah. And then when we go to market in October, November, that way will be done through interior designers. So I suppose the idea or the sales idea of how we're going to do it is our network is full of interior designers. So we'll go to the interior designer, say, hey, we're going to make this for you at X. You sell it to your customer at Y. So they give us the designs. I go through and find the artisan and we make it, hand make it, record the story, send all of that to them so that they can get, hyped up, get around the product, sell it to their client. Then it will go live on our website. And then we can keep getting continual sales from that component after that transaction's done. After that transaction's done, the designer will always get a commission based off, the ratios will change, and then they'll get a commission based, so that they're incentivized to keep telling people, hey, keep buying this product, and we'll just keep scaling that way. So,
and plus the high end luxury market is very consultant driven, right? I mean, generally people ask, what do I buy? Where should I buy from?
Yeah.
Is it trustworthy enough?
Exactly.
It's very relationship driven.
Yeah. Have you heard of B Corp certified?
B Corp?
Yeah. So look, I think in our Western world now, sustainability and corporate social responsibility is an all-time high.
CSR.
Yeah.
ESG.
Like, you need to be doing things in a way that actually helps people, not necessarily, just consuming everything. Like, I like to think of, so I'm a shareholder of a company, right? To some people, a shareholder of a company means that's how much money I'm going to get out of that company. To me, that word means that as the shareholder, it is my due diligence, my responsibility to protect the sanctity of how everything gets shared. So and that's not just financial, that's like our life. How are my team enjoying their life? How is everyone actually progressing and growing from this? If I care just about money from the start, I'm the profit holder in my mind, not the shareholder. It's my responsibility to make sure that everyone benefits from these transactions. And that's what sells also inside the Australian market now. That they know and that they can trust that that's not just a money grabbing exercise. That's someone who actually genuinely cares and wants to make everyone's world and lives better. I know this might be your country, but this is our world. And what happens here also affects what happens for us 100%. Over there.
Bro, you are already half Nepali.
Yeah,
this is our country.
Bahadur Tamang.
Yeah. Nick Tamang.
Oh, love it. So look, I think for me, man, that nature will hopefully, fingers crossed, work. So, yeah.
Amazing. And I honestly feel like as a Nepali, we are not really good at selling, but we're great at building things.
You are.
And I think if we can figure out a way to collaborate with people who can sell things, we can definitely build a lot of things. A lot of things need to be sold from here.
Man, the skill sets here are so good. Like, they are so good. And I'm a builder. I'm someone who does something with their hands. Like, I'm a technical guy. I feel like there's a stigma around doing things with your hands. I'm an artist in a way as well.
Yeah.
So we've just come up with this tagline for our company. It's more Himalayan Karigarum.
Himalayan
Karigarum.
Karigarhum.
Yeah, I might have butchered that, but
okay.
It's like I am a Himalayan artisan.
Okay. Himalaya Karigar ho.
Karigaru.
More Himalayan Karigar ho.
More Himalayan Karigaru.
Okay.
And I want people to, like, every artisan, I want them to say that and actually believe it. Like, you are an artist. Like, when you're making these things, you're making beautiful, timeless pieces that the world appreciates. Like, the world appreciates these hands. It's one thing to be able to think something, and that's this incredible skill in itself. But it's another to be able to actually transmit that down into your hands and actually create it. I want people to take pride in being able to make things with their hands here, and the skill sets that are here are well and truly capable of doing it. So we had a guy, Surendra, who came over and worked for us in the Australian company, and he was trained here. I trained him for a few years when I was first here, and whenever we had a problem inside Australia, like there was something that couldn't be figured out, Surendra would come in and he'd fix it, and everyone would always be looking at this and like, how the hell did he do that?
And this is not even a very technically well-trained guy. He just learned
He's not educated. He's not formally educated, but he is incredible with the hands. He does an incredible job, and he was our go-to guy. Now he's one of the best builders that we've got. So, yeah.
How did you got started into building things? I mean, like, even you don't have a very formal education in architecture and engineering.
No, so I have zero formal education, technically. I suppose that whole story started with my grandfather. So I'd spent years and years and years throughout my early child life on construction sites with my grandfather, and I'd be exposed to all these different elements. So, subconsciously, even without knowing it, I was being formed into a builder, a practical builder. In year 12, So in our education system inside Australia, we've got a practical based subject where you learn how to build, you learn how to do things with timber and deal with those kinds of machinery that shape timber.
You actually learn carpenting in your schools?
We do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some different, right? Yeah, we should do it here in Nepal.
100%. एकदम.
Oh. Ani हाम्रो काठको काम एकदम रमाइलो छ मलाई. Ani at that time it wasn't super respected inside Australia as well.
Okay.
So, there's a bit of family pressures and things like that to get into university and, become an architect or an engineer. Or
a banker.
Big, the banker. Get those big name shots going. And I'm just like, but, I just want to work with timber. I just want to enjoy doing things with my hands. So I decided to go and do what's called an apprenticeship and learn the skill sets. And, it was ekdam garo. Mero sati sabaizanaलाई universityमा अनि युनिभर्सिटीमा एकदम रमाइलो छ हैन. मेरो काम 5 बजे स्टार्ट अनि 7 बजे फिनिश. एकदम गाह्रोको काम. And it made it more difficult to commit to the work because everyone else was doing.
You didn't want to give up, like, okay, let me go to the university.
Yeah. So it made it a bit more difficult. But I didn't do that. I stayed my path and learned practically and just learnt because I was passionate about what I do. And I was interested about how things come together, how it all connects, what the wind and the sun does to all these different products and how we can make this inviting space inside the home through these hands. So, It's been a journey, man. It's been a good 10 years, long 10 years. Unintentional destiny.
अनि अस्ट्रेलियामा घरहरू बनाउँदा फेरि don't you really need that engineer in front of your name to sign that blueprint, to sign that map, something like that?
पर्दैन. अस्ट्रेलियामा 3 जना कन्सल्टेन्ट पर्छ. एउटा कन्सल्टेन्ट सर्टिफायर हो, engineer हो अनि architect. The certifiers are the ones that come and inspect the builder and making sure we're complying with what the engineer and the architect has designed. They're never on site. So it's up to us as the builder to understand how to read the plans, how everything, all the different elements affect what is being built. But they actually don't know that stuff. I know the architect and the engineer, they don't spend the time to understand, okay, well, if we put this particular kind of glass here, is that going to reflect off and hit some light towards a neighboring building? They're the things that you learn practically. That there is theoretical components, but by doing them, you actually really learn it. And it's only by doing that you really harness that knowledge.
And do you have never thought of going back to the university, getting the degree as well? Because with you that could be a very lethal combination, right? The knowledge that you have and the degree.
I think पर्दैन. मेरो degree it's
अब त नेपालको सामान बेच्ने हो. अब घर बनाउने हैन.
Well, हुन्छ किन हुँदैन. No, I think for the degrees, man, it's a starting point. I know it's the foundation. But I've formed the pillars now on top of those foundations, so I don't need to go back.
Did you also take up philosophical class in your high school?
Yeah. No, it's just my dad. He's like that.
Okay.
He teaches us to speak like this. Yeah.
So where are you sourcing this from? Mostly from Patan, Bhaktapur?
Yeah, all over. So we got Patan, Bhaktapur. We got Sanku, where all the stonework is happening at the moment. So we're cutting tiles. So it's all stones that are sourced from either India. Some of the stones are actually from Nepal, like the river stones.
हाम्रो माथि at times when you're drunk with a couple of friends and we start talking like नेपालमा त कस्तो खतरा mountains छ, ढुङ्गा छ, हैन के छ होला नि त, हैन, we have never explored, we have never mined. So यस्तो ढुङ्गाहरूलाई केमा कन्भर्ट गरेर यस्तो लग्जरी प्रोडक्टहरु बनाउन सकिदैन?
Man, I have no idea why. So
I'll do it, okay. I'll do it, Anup.
Nepal is a rock. There's so much dunga here.
Exactly.
The river stones. So mining, it's not possible. The mining components here, it'd be too expensive to do. It just, the kinds and the quality of the stone as well, it just wouldn't be worth it in that level of slabs. But the rocks that are coming out as river rocks that are falling naturally from it, that ticks all the boxes like worldwide as well.
Okay.
I know you haven't mined that. You've taken it from something that's like a landslide and fallen down. You're turning it into a stone basin that is now someone washing their hands in. That's been ethically sourced. And it looks good in that sense, but it hasn't been extracted from the mine. Like, it hasn't been mined specifically. I'm not tarnishing any of the natural beauty of Nepal. I'm just taking what has been given to me, what Mother Earth has given to me. So, yeah, and there's so many beautiful things here that it just... so many natural resources as well. Like the timber here as well is incredible. It's beautiful timber. Now, I agree there's a lot of strict forestry policies here, and I agree with them because we need to, like the carbon footprint of Nepal, you need as much forestry here as possible. So
now you are in sorts of these amazing hidden artisans around the different corners of this country. Because I think Kathmandu to एउटा सहर न हो हैन. There might be so many hidden artisans around so many places in Nepal, right?
Yeah, there would be.
And you are on a mission to find them.
I need to find them. So if they can get in touch, slip into my DMs.
So how should people reach out to you? Instagram?
Instagram for now. So I'll put all the links in. I'll send you all the links and stuff.
How do you pronounce it? Nickabes.
Nickabes, that's my personal one. And then the company called one Himalayan Artisan. You can slip into both of those. Website, we're not formally launching until October, November. We're actually going to do a big launch party for it. So before here and then, I want to perfect multiple different like art components with different artisans around. And I want to do an actual physical launch where that website goes live and build up to that component. Like we'll do a campaign. I should probably speak to you about that afterwards. Yeah. Where we actually launch that thing and we launch it properly. I know we're there to say like we are Himalayan artisans and we're here to launch to the world. You can come buy our products.
I'm curious. Do the artisan know the amount this product would be sold for?
Yeah, look, they can go online and they'll be able to see. They'll be able to see that.
So nothing is hidden. Everything is open.
It's all
everything
transparent.
is public.
It's all transparent. I know, and they'll know like what I buy it for. And look, I'm transparent. I'm happy to tell people exactly how much it costs. I mean, like kind of going back to what I was saying before. I'm the shareholder. It is my responsibility on how everything gets shared. Now we need to make big money to be able to expand into these different areas. It comes down to a bit of a trust system that I'm not taking advantage of people, and I hope my character over the years will speak to that. But everything's open book. I'm not here to screw anyone. I'm not here to mass profit off anyone. All I'm really interested in is just making a good story and having fun. Living a good life, and this is how I see that being done. So, yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a tough question.
Okay.
What is the most difficult thing about doing business in Nepal?
Okay. The hardest thing for me is I come from a world when everything is required yesterday. I know. I am in so much pressure from people to deliver.
Okay.
Time is...
Timeline.
Timeline. The culture here, which I love. I do. I genuinely love it. I think there's a healthy middle ground of being able to figure out how to... with all the festivals and all of that come in, be able to deliver these products. Like it is really, really hard. I think there's like 130 something days of festivals here, and then unfortunately someone will die, and then there's these big long rituals and programs for those sorts of things. And actually I think that's beautiful. I do. And it's not my job to come in here and absolutely obliterate that. It's my job to protect that. Find a healthy middle ground. And the way I'm doing it at the moment is I'm ordering things months in advance for when I need it. I'm managing expectations inside Australia, saying, hey, look, we can do this, but it's going to take months. Now, that's at the moment, but I want to standardize everything, so I'm just putting out mass orders. Like I'm pre-buying 1,000 handles. I'm going to pre-buy 1,000 lights. We've just got stock sitting there. And that's the way I'm going to handle it. But it does make it very tough because I've got, the foreigner screaming at me like, where is that? And I'm in Nepal and they're just doing this.
खाजा खान जाम त्यो त अस्ति couple of last weeks तिमीसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो एनर्जी थाहा हुन्छ नि त मान्छेको होइन यु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड द भाइब्स राइट यु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड द एनर्जी एन्ड यु आर अ काइन्ड अफ अ डुअर आई मिन लाइक हुन्छ नि यु बी लाइक हाई डुड आइम फ्री फर फ्यु आवर्स वे आई यु आई जस्ट हप इन एन्ड देन यु आर हियर इन नेक्स्ट आवर भैँसीबाटी होइन ब्रो द लास्ट फ्रस्ट्रेट हुन्छ होला आई मिन लाइक what I'm trying to say is you might get frustrated really fast in Nepal. I mean, like, people are so chill, isn't it? I mean, like, do you feel that whenever you go to Australia and you come back and people are walking slowly in the roads, people are not in hurry? I mean, like, I feel that when I go to my hometown. I'm from Bhairava. It's on a Tarai side of it, close to Lumbini. And then when I go to Bhairava, I feel like people are walking slow.
Yeah. Just a nice
सबै कुरा मजाले भइरहेको छ होइन द काठमाडौँ इज अ बिट फास्टर होइन एन्ड देन मोस्ट प्रोबेबली when you go abroad बाहिर जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ देन यु सी एभ्रीबडी इज रनिङ हसल छ त्यो छ होइन बट इन जेनरल नेपाली सच अ चिल कल्चर के हुन्छ नि आई मिन लाइक मेबी अनि कहिले म वाट वी टक विथ कपल अफ फ्रेन्ड्स इज बिकज वी आर इन सो हाइट इट्स हाइट राइट लाइक थिङ्स आर कोल्ड एन्ड इन अ कोल्ड प्लेस पिपल आर बिट मोर रिल्याक्स्ड people are a bit more chill.
A bit more slow.
Bit more slow. So yeah.
Well, mate, in Australia, it's
hot.
It's hot. You don't smile and you just walk and you rush everywhere and you answer the phone and you're dealing with all the problems and everything is like, I need it now. I'm gonna, sue you or something like that. I've had so many stories where, I'm just building someone's home, and then I get some threatening messages from neighbors or from anyone just like, oh, there's a nail on the road, can you pick it up? I'm like, yeah, okay, of course. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. So it's a much more aggressive, fast-paced culture that doesn't necessarily I think it's changing, but it doesn't necessarily at the moment care so much about the human side. And I think the human touch component of all of this and all we're trying to do allows people to feel that where they can't in their normal daily life because of all the societal pressures and the systems that we have in place in Australia.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a little bit of a release and a safe space for them to go. I touch this handle and I feel good.
Somebody has invested good amount of time.
Someone had a couple teas.
Do you remember a story went viral during the earthquake where it was this woman with a house crushed behind her back? She asked a foreigner or journalist if they want to have a water.
Really? Like, I don't. Yeah, tell me.
It's a story something like this where the journalist is there to pick up some stories, and then the woman, the elderly woman with the house crushed in. I don't remember the exact story, but I think I can imagine. I can remember the picture of it.
Yeah.
And then the woman is smiling, and then.
And she's giving the bottle of water to the foreigner. How incredible is that? Now, honestly, I love your culture. I do. And I actually think there's a very unique opportunity here in Nepal. So I feel like the Western world's actually gone too far. We're over-regulated. We're over-complicated. Life's never been harder. We have to work ridiculously long hours just to afford to live. Cost of living crisis is a thing. But here in Nepal, we haven't got there yet. It's not currently there. We treat people, there's a lot more respect that people treat to other people. It's a bit slower, like we were just saying. So there's actually a really prime opportunity to learn from a lot of the mistakes. Like, I would never want that fast-paced culture and that everything's required yesterday to make its way into this culture. Having the festivals, like, I hope that never dies out. Because that's something that, as tourists, we also want to come and see. There's a reason we come here. If it changes, then what's the point? There's a very unique opportunity, and there are lots of incredible young minds out there that I'm sure will shape this country and take it forward to even greater heights. I mean, what you're doing here with the podcast as well, like, that puts the platform for people to step up on the stage to just make something, go out there and do something. And I can't wait to see what the next generation of Nepali youth coming through are going to do, and I'm sure it's going to be incredible.
100%. And I think there's so many, like here from Australia, there's so many Nepalese who have invested multiple decades in Australia, US, in all around the world. And maybe this podcast could be a great story for them to leverage the network they have already built outside.
Yeah.
Come back, figure out something that they can sell.
Yeah.
And then build that breeze.
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't it?
Bridge the world, 100%. 100%.
You think Australia is probably one of the most populated country in terms of like most probably from Nepal. सबसे धेरै गएको देश अस्ट्रेलिया हो क्या? It's the Australia where most of the people have migrated from Nepal. Pretty lot of people. And then there's this Australian crazy guy who's coming.
Who's this crazy guy? Yeah, everyone always asks me this, like, you want to come to Nepal? I'm like, yes I do. I want to live there. But there's a lot of foreigners like that, right?
There are a couple of, but there are a lot of. I know a couple of them.
Yeah.
Ever think of getting married to Nepali girl and then getting her citizenship and then building a house in a hilltop?
Oh yeah, look, it's cost me, right? Nepali kiri man parcha.
For a lot of single ladies out there.
Single. Yeah, look, I feel at home here.
You're half Nepali, man.
Well,
तिमी half Nepali हो.
I feel
अनुहार पनि हल्का हल्का नेपाली जस्तो मिल्छ.
Chetri. Oh, yeah. I've been coined in Ghimire, where I first started this journey. I'm Nicholas Bahadur Tamang there.
Okay.
And now a lot of people say like Chetri Brahmin.
Chichanak, I know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody who's watching this, if you know somebody who is an artist who can create something like this, Nick is the person you should knock the door off.
We need to be in touch. We need to get in touch. I need to... it makes more sense for me to have people from a village making these products. Now I'm small scale, I'm not big, but I'm willing to invest in the different areas. It's just small componentry. Like if you can make something as small as this, it doesn't take much setup. It doesn't take much investment to get it going.
And you're also willing to invest on the equipments, on the trainings?
100%. I will help guide and support, because that I'm essentially just investing in my business. Then. It's not a handout. I'm giving a hand up. That's it. So please get in touch. It's very hard to find everyone. No one's registered on Google Maps or
that's an opportunity, no?
Yeah.
Do you think all this the global trade is changing? The Trump and China they're completely resetting everything. Like the complete reset is going to happen.
There is a major worldwide reset happening as we speak. It's live. It's scary.
And it's not going to be same again.
No, it won't. No. And countries like China and the US, they're always going to be going at each other.
And do you think that the demand for more, because I think China is a country that is known for doing mass production, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And with tariff going so high, if the amount of Chinese product is similar to the handed product, why do I even buy a machine-made product?
Exactly. Now, the reason that's the case as well is because these countries have assimilated to new heights where the cost of labor has gone up. China was a very cheap, and still is. It's still a cheap place to manufacture goods, but everything else has still gone up. Whereas Nepal's still somewhat down here. There's an opportunity to leverage that. Saying I can still make this handmade product now. It won't be as refined as that mass-produced product, but it'll be similar costs. We're actually very competitive with Chinese-based products. In a cost sense. So if it can be harnessed and then sold as the story, like essentially what I'm selling is not necessarily the product itself. The product is a very integral part of it, but it's the story. I'm selling the chance for someone to be involved in the journey that is creating jobs in Nepal.
So will you also bring these people back here in Nepal to show them around?
Correct. Yeah. That's a bit. I mean, it's going to be a bit showy, but that's what I got to do. So inside the luxury space, I need to go to a designer, tell them, hey, come out, we'll go see the artists. We'll take them, either a flight, helicopter, get them to these remote places so they can see where it's being made, because that then commits them to the sale. They're now a part of that story. They want to continue that story, and then in all of their jobs going forward, they'll always be talking like, wow, this incredible Himalayan craftsmanship. It's made up, 3,000 meters. It's made at 4,000 meters. It's made up at base camp at Everest. And that sells. There's a story. So when they have all their friends over in Australia, they're able to tell their friends that, hey, this was made by this person who has, the guy who makes all of this, seventh generation artisan.
Crazy.
handcrafting brass, and he's never done anything like this before, and it just takes a little bit of my time on that component to just manipulate some of the skill sets.
So what is the flair that you bring? I mean, like the style the Westerners would want?
Yeah, so I try and incorporate that, but it's also, I've got to inspire and motivate people to try something new, which is difficult. Change is difficult for a lot of people.
Mostly for this artist.
It's hard, yeah, because they've never seen anything like this before. You know, they're making all the brass singing bowls or the gods and all of that sort of stuff. So to do something like this is a bit of a risk as well, because the market is, unknown. He's like, why would I do one piece for this foreigner when I've got 100 singing bowls to make? So, it takes a bit of time to get people on board, but hopefully this helps.
It's going to help, man, and I think it's a great story. If Nick can do it, definitely a lot of people can do it too, isn't it?
And I'm uneducated, right? I'm uneducated, and I did this. So imagine the educated people that
and I think
make waves. Make waves.
In the post-AI world, this thing is going to be more valuable.
Correct. Right? So logically, it's the only thing now that is actually seriously worth investing outside of the AI and tech space. AI is replacing so many jobs. Like a lot of our photos now are going to be AI generated backgrounds with actual real products, and that saves us a lot of money that I can focus more on the actual physical product. So jobs are going to be replaced. So now's the time to really, really invest in the skill sets, like the physical skill sets of making these products and the infrastructure that can make these products, because that's the way the world's heading. Whether we like it or not, AI is not taken over, but definitely at the forefront. So, yeah.
Amazing, man. I loved it.
Thanks, man.
मजा आयो. I think तिमीसँग जतिचोटि पनि भेटेछु हैन. You bring a different energy into the table. I mean, like,
Thanks, man.
It's a whole different energy.
It's good to be talking with you, and I really appreciate. Sorry it's taken so long to get here and talk to you as well, but it's. I appreciate what you're doing here, mate, as well, and all the incredible people on your platform are all doing some incredible stuff.
Yeah, all doers.
They're all doers, and it's I'm honored to be here with you as well.
We already do, and I hope this podcast is going to inspire more people to become a doer, or we will empower more doers, more hidden doers.
100%. Yeah. Profit follows passion.
100%. Thanks, man. I had an amazing time.
Likewise.
We have a small gift.
Thank you.
From our partner. So this is a Himalaya floriculture.
Okay, thank you.
So this guy does farming in Godavari.
Yeah,
very sustainable farming. And so this flower is for you.
Oh, thank you very much. And these are beautiful.
We also have a plant inside.
Thank
you. So he one fine day we were talking and he was like, Anup, maybe
sounds good too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And he was like, how could we bring more flowers in a gifting culture? How can we bring more flower into more B2B gifting? And he was like, and I was like, let's collaborate. Let's gift every of our guest.
Yeah.
And tell them, like, let's start gifting more flowers and plants.
I love that, because there's not enough greenery here.
100%.
Yeah.
And he has also given a discount for if anybody who's watching this goes to his website, put a Doers 10 as a code, you're gonna get 10% discount on your next order.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for supporting us. For everybody who's watching this, tons of takeaways. I'm gonna link Nick and his company Instagram below. Reach out to him. Reach out to the company. See what synergy can be created, because I think either you build stuff or you sell. And I think he's here telling you that if you're building good stuff, he's going to buy. And I think half of the problem is already solved. So reach out, say this podcast, say this conversation to somebody in need. Help somebody because most of the conversation we did in English, so maybe this might not reach the artisan on the ground. So help us convert this into a Nepali language, convert this into something understandable by that artisan, and show it to them that there is this guy, crazy guy, who is willing to help you out to make most money and take you out to Australia and maybe to the world. So thank you so much for watching. In podcast, it's generally two of us sitting in front of a camera, but there are amazing people behind the camera, behind the computer screen, making sure everything is on time, things are perfect. I'd also like to thank these people. Also like to thank our company, Finders. We find this is probably one of the largest B2B content production company in Nepal. We produce tons of content. We produce content for amazing brands, few of the top brands in the world. If you are willing to create more digital footprint, if you are willing to activate your social handles, if you are willing to grow your sales through the power of digital content, we are definitely one of the right company. Please reach out. There is a link below, and I'll be more than happy to sip a coffee with you and talk about how we can help your company. We'll be back again with another amazing episode. By the way, do you have anything to say before we leave?
Nothing transcended. Just thanks for the time, and I really appreciate it. I can't wait to...
नेपालीमा भन्दिन्न केही.
नेपालीमा? More Himalayan. Gotta go. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. I'll see you again on next episode. Till then, you guys take care. Bye-bye.
Yes.